So in 2023, this article by Elizabeth Dwoskin from the Washington Post comes out, talking about Silicon Valley's latest venture in health. From full body scans to food allergies, health is now a startup. I'll link the article below because it's an amazing time capsule. This was around the time that all of us terminally online folk were forced to learn about Brian Johnson and the tech bro obsession with living forever, and here we see it begin to bleed into other people's daily existence. Jessica Jensen always thought of herself as a healthy enough person. The Silicon Valley executive ate well and worked out once a week, all while juggling a job managing 500 people and her daughter, a soon-to-be middle schooler. But in spring 2021, she heard about Prenuvo, a boutique clinic offering a full-body MRI. While MRIs are typically used to diagnose a particular problem, Prenuvo touts the service as a routine preventative measure, like a colonoscopy or a mammogram. Jensen was intrigued, and her husband persuaded her to try the scan on the eve of her 50th birthday. The day after the scan, which cost $2,499 out of pocket, a Prenuvo nurse called to tell Jensen that the MRI had detected a hard-looking 2-centimeter cyst on her pancreas. Doctors confirmed her fears. She had stage 1 pancreatic cancer. Jensen, who had surgery to remove the mass, along with a third of her pancreas and her entire spleen, credits Prenuvo with saving her life. Already, you can see a lot of problems with this. And I suspect you, don't have $2,500 to fork over to a full-body scan that may or may not turn something up. Also, I refuse to put my life in the hands of a startup. A lot of the backers are those same billionaire freaks who have used their wealth to isolate and anger the masses, so I guess I don't really trust that they'd be the go-to source to tell me if I have cancer. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a disappointment. I don't have an MD. I have an MBA, which really just makes it more likely that I'd be diagnosed with sociopathy. But there is a real doctor on YouTube, Rohan from Midlife Crisis, who made a video about this very godforsaken topic back in 2023. It's linked above, and you should watch it if you haven't already. Now, lest you think this new health fad would go unaddressed, that year the American College of Radiology released a statement saying that there was, quote, no documented evidence that total body screening is cost-effective or effective in prolonging life. And yeah, of course it's not. Imagine if I go in and get a full body MRI. I've never had one done before, so there's no baseline to compare it to, and if something is off, which it probably would look like since my body is a total embarrassment, I'd have to make several return trips for more scans so the radiologist could see whether or not that weird shadow is a concern or just the latest stupid thing my body has decided to start doing. I also want to take a specific look at how this is framed. If you're an American, like I am, you know our healthcare system is terrible. A serious illness could completely bankrupt you, and these billionaires, with all their wealth and power to legitimately influence the system, look at it instead and say, this sounds like an opportunity. They won't say that out loud, of course. They're going to frame it as personal empowerment, taking charge of your health. The future of health is all about taking a 360-degree view of your body across all the different dimensions, says 37-year-old Emmy Gal, a software engineer who founded Ezra, another full-body scan startup, in 2018. Gal himself wears 2 different health trackers, one on each wrist, and takes custom-made dietary supplements, which are personalized based on his blood work. Every night for the past 8 years, he has filled out his life log, a color-coded Google spreadsheet where he tracks his sleep habits, his oxygen levels, his bone density, and the strain on his heart, along with 154 other data points about his body. God, that sounds miserable. This is the piece I think many miss. What do you gain by biohacking to this degree? Does Gal sleep easier knowing that over 100 data points follow him at all times? Or does it unnecessarily stress him out anytime something slightly shifts? You know what an underlying cause of several serious diseases is? It's stress. The article also doesn't return to Jensen, the woman we met at the beginning, but I'd like to reread that passage again. She had surgery to remove the mass, along with a third of her pancreas and her entire spleen. Now, without compromising sensitive family information, a relative of mine had an emergency splenectomy, where your spleen is removed. And you can live without a spleen, but it does come with consequences. For example, my relative has a new and severe food allergy. Cleveland Clinic also has this to say. A splenectomy increases your risk of blood clots and infections, including potentially fatal ones. Even minor infections can progress fast and become serious without a spleen. For example, a case of severe sepsis called overwhelming post-splenectomy infection can be fatal without treatment. You can live a normal life expectancy after a splenectomy if you take precautions to prevent infection. Still, you're 2 to 3 times more likely to get an infection or have a related complication, including death, if you're living without a spleen. So, did Jensen trade one fatal outcome for another? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But you know who is? Pranuvo co-founder Raj Atariwala. He's mentioned towards the end of the article, and I guess I'm a fool because I was really hoping someone with a medical background could inject a little sense into these biohacking extremes. Atariwala was proud to show off his custom software, which scans 33 body parts and is layered on top of a recently purchased Siemens and Philips MRI machines. You can't hide anything from this, he said. He showed how his software could detect subtle details, such as if a person is breastfeeding or the hardness of a mass, a key indicator of a potential cancer. I was wrong. So that was 3 years ago, and it is now 2026. Pranuvo has been used by many people, celebrity and otherwise, and it might be time to see if those health outcomes I touted were in fact achieved. Well, thank goodness for journalist Peter Horisky, because oh boy were they! A $2,500 full body scan said he was healthy. Then he had a catastrophic stroke. I know this isn't the focus, but isn't it interesting how all these startups mention that they want to work to lower the cost of their eye-wateringly priced services, and yet, 3 years later, here we are. In July 2023, a 35-year-old Manhattan man decided to undergo a full-body health scan, a celebrity-endorsed trend aimed at people anxious about their body's secrets and moneyed enough to afford the knowledge. Sean Clifford had his scan done by Pranuvo, one of the most prominent companies in the field. Kim Kardashian has described its screenings as life-saving. The company's website says a 45-minute whole-body scan, now priced at $2,500, can detect subtle changes early and spot potential issues before they become serious. The report based on Clifford's scan indicated no major problems, according to a copy sent to him. But 8 months later, he suffered a debilitating stroke, leaving him with paralysis in his left hand and left leg, according to a lawsuit he filed against Pranuvo and the doctor contracted to interpret the scan. He alleges that the company overlooked signs of trouble that appeared in the scan of his cerebral arteries. You can't hide anything from this. The company suggests as much in the patient consent agreement that Clifford signed, noting, as with any medical test, there are limitations which make it impossible to detect all the malignancies and conditions, according to court documents. You can't hide anything from this. The company's chief executive, Andrew Lacey, has boasted of its focus on accuracy. This is the only thing that we do. It's not a side business, Lacey said in a 2024 interview with Faces of Digital Health. We are 100% focused on making sure that we have the best hardware, best software, best artificial intelligence, and best radiologists, so these exams are as accurate as they can be. You can't hide anything. Wonder if that little quote is gonna make its way into court. I hope so. It would make for very entertaining testimony. This sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole. I had hoped to one day forget that the man who pursued longevity instead of intensive therapy continues to plead for attention, but when articles like these turn up, I inevitably return to our least favorite freak, Brian Johnson. Fortune writer Oriana Rosa Royal documented his routine as of 2023, which I am going to read to you while this image plays for no reason whatsoever. As well as blood transfusions, Johnson follows a strict daily routine that includes monitoring his body fat, heart rate variability, blood, stool samples, and the number of erections he has per night. Every day, he also takes 24 medicines at 5 a.m., consumes 1,977 vegan calories, and exercises for an hour before using his blue light evasive glasses and hitting the hay. The result? He claims to now have the heart of a 37-year-old, the skin of a 28-year-old, and the lung capacity of an 18-year-old. Sick, dude. Now, I don't know about you, but one of the most restorative activities for me is hanging out with my friends. Maybe we'll go to brunch or hit up a museum or grab ice cream after attending a crafting circle, but I always leave feeling like a newer, healthier person. I'm smiling, I'm full of delicious food, and if it's a crafting circle, I also have embroidery. Those wonderful, uplifting things you can't really measure, which is why it doesn't surprise me that interact with human beings is nowhere near Brian Johnson's routine. Besides, ice cream would upset the body fat measurements. This isn't rocket science, by the way. Study after study has confirmed that being around people is good for you. Crazy how there's no startup for that, but I wouldn't want to be within 500 feet of Brian, and maybe he recognizes that. I do, however, worry that it's only a matter of time before Silicon Valley tech bros catch on to the loneliness crisis and its associated health pitfalls and invent a fucking paywalled app to help. So let me stop them right there and assure you, dear viewer, that such a service already exists. There is indeed a place where like-minded people congregate and leave with a high of human interaction. Incidentally, it also comes with a free health screening, so that's a fun bonus. Now don't worry, just because this service involves your fellow humans and health markers, I am not at all worried that the Brian Johnsons of the world will latch onto it because it involves doing something kind. Have you ever donated blood? I know, weird question, I hate to pry, but it is kind of the perfect solution to this, isn't it? Not everyone is able to donate or meets the qualifications, but if you do, it's actually a fun time. Think about it. A lot of blood drives are held right in your community, at a school, church, or event center. Maybe your own workplace has hosted one. And you get to meet people in your area with the same good intentions that you have. Even if there's no event on the calendar, there are still donation centers all over the country. The Community Blood Center and the Red Cross will both point you in the direction of the nearest continually operated blood center near you. And also you can donate every 8 weeks, so you really get to know the folks that come in on the regular. I still email the gentleman I chatted with in the recovery area about Agatha Christie novels regularly. And for you health mavens, every donation comes with a free health assessment. They measure your blood pressure, hemoglobin, and pulse. Incidentally, this is how I figured out I'm naturally lower in iron than your average American, and now I supplement instead of eating nothing but iron-rich foods like a madwoman 2 weeks before my donation time. Your donated blood also gets its own fun little health screening where they test it for hepatitis B and C, HIV, syphilis, West Nile virus, and babesia, to name a few. And now, all these benefits are great, but I don't even donate regularly for that. I do it for the free food. I have scanned my grocery stores constantly, and nowhere else have I found the 4-pack of Oreos. They only exist in blood drives. And I want them. And don't just tell me to buy a pack of Oreos like a regular person. You're wrong. It's too many Oreos. I don't want that many. I want 4. So now I have to donate blood to get it, which is a sacrifice I don't mind making. I've also gotten sick merch over the years, including this bad boy. I've never seen Stranger Things, so I'm just gonna assume blood donation is a critical plot point. Don't correct me. Point being, while Silicon Valley continues to try and get us healthcare-deprived saps to pay an entire month's wages for dubious scans disguised as care, the real solution has been freely available the whole time. And it's a hell of a lot better than whatever they're offering. So, if you're able to, donate blood. But do it for the Oreos. Don't do it for the altruism.